right, welcome back everyone. It is day 2 of our gummy bear experiment. Our gummies have been soaking since 8 o'clock Saturday night. It's about just after 4, so they've been soaking for about 20 hours. So I'm going to say that they're probably about good to go. So just a recap of what we did last time. Last time we measured and took qualitative and quantitative observations on our gummy bears, and we put them in different types of water. So right here is our distilled water, or that bottled water. We have our tap water, so water that came from our sink. And then we made our own salt water mixture. And they've been soaking, like I said, for about 20 hours. So we're going to take a look at them. We're going to make new observations. We're going to take some new measurements and see what has changed since we put them in the water last night. And we're going to go one by one so we don't get them mixed up. Now this is where you have to be really careful because your gummy bears might be feeling different and they might be reacting differently because they've been in the water for so long. So I have some paper towels and I'm going to, let's take a look at our chart. Our chart talks about tap water first. So I'm going to take my tap water bear and I'm going to carefully pull him out of water. Oops. I'll let him come back up. And actually he's floating, so let me switch our camera around so we can take a look at the bear. So before I even remove it from the water, this is our tap water bear. And if you take a look at him, he's actually kind of floating about halfway through the cup. So I thought that was interesting because yesterday he fell to the bottom. So we're going to grab our gummy bear and I'm just gonna reach my hand in there and carefully scoop them out and throw them down on our paper towel. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do before we even measure is let's make some qualitative observations on our gummy bear. So I will let you take a look. So this is our tap water gummy bear. So that gummy bear that was sitting in sink water. So remember, your data tables are on page 2 of your lab report. So what are some observations that you can make about the gummy bear? So I'll let you take a look at it first. And then I'm gonna give it a squeeze for you because yesterday, guys, I let you guys know that it was squishy, but it wasn't super soft. So let's give it, it is definitely a lot softer and squishier than yesterday. That is for sure. So I would definitely put that as one of your qualitative observations, is that it's a lot squishier than it was before. All right, now I'm going to grab my ruler so we can measure our gummy bear. I'm gonna turn him this way. If you still have some observations to make, please hit pause and make some more qualitative observations. Some more qualitative observations. And I'm gonna get this lined up super quick. All right, so here is our tap water gummy bear. Now last night when we measured him, he was about 24 millimeters. So remember that there's 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter. So there's 10 millimeters, 20 millimeters, 30 millimeters, and let's count 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. I would almost say that there's about 37 millimeters. So I'm gonna write under the length after soaking, I'm gonna write 37 millimeters. And we'll come back and figure out the difference once we're all done. So that is our tap water gummy bear. So let's get him out of the way. The next one is our salt water gummy bear. So we're gonna move our tap water gummy bear and I'm just gonna set him right by the cup. Our saltwater gummy bear has sunk down to the bottom. So you guys want to take a look at that. He's down in the bottom of his cup. So let's reach in I'll be really careful with him. He feels really fragile. All right, here is our saltwater gummy bear. And I'm gonna pull back a little bit. So take a look at him. What do you notice about the saltwater gummy bear? And you're going to write your observations in the qualitative gummy bear observations box under the after column. What do you notice about him now? If you would like to pause the video and make some more qualitative observations, you can do so now. I'm going to get the ruler lined up. All right, so here is our saltwater gummy bear. And so let's figure out how much he's grown. So we have 10, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, maybe 27 millimeters. So I'm gonna come over here and under this, oops, we should have done distilled, oh well. We're gonna do 27 millimeters. So that was our saltwater gummy bear. So I'm gonna move him back over to his spot. And we have one more left. We have our distilled water gummy bear. So he is kind of floating just a little bit in his cup. There he is. I'm gonna reach in and grab this one as well. And again, he feels a lot squishier than last time, than last night. They've all felt a lot squishier. So there is our distilled water, our bottled water gummy bear. Take a look at him and make some more qualitative observations. Some more qualitative observations. And write it under your after for the distilled water gummy bear. So if you take a look at him, he's really squishy and jiggly today. He reminds me a lot of Jell-O compared to what he was like yesterday. All right, let's take a look and measure him. If you need to pause to make some more qualitative observations, you can do so now. All right, so let's take a look and count. So we have 10 millimeters, 20, 30, and I think he looks like he's right on the 40 millimeter mark. So I'm gonna come over into my chart and write 40 millimeters. So that's all we need to do for the measurement part. So I'm going to move him back over, and then we'll take a look at them all side by side because I think it's interesting how they all look. So if we take a look at them side by side, again, here's our bottled water gummy bear, our tap water gummy bear, and our salt water gummy bear. So if I stand up just a little, nope, they're still too far apart. Let's move them a little closer. So there they are, the three different gummy bears. All right, so let's take a look at the rest of our lab report and we can fill out parts of it together. All right, so I'm gonna walk you through a couple more parts of the lab report before letting you guys go and fill out the rest on your own. So I have all my qualitative data written down here. I know last night I told you guys that the bears smelled really sweet. If you want to write in, they don't smell as sweet today to me. They kind of lost some of that sweet smell, I think, when they were soaking in there. And I also have all my numbers written in. So what I'm going to do is the first thing in that gummy bear length in millimeters part, on the far right side, it has a difference column. So I need to figure out the difference between the starting size and what size it ended at. So with our tap water bear, it started at 24 millimeters and then it grew to 37 millimeters. So the difference between the two would be 37 minus 24, which I know is 13 millimeters. So there's a 13 millimeter difference between the two. So I'm going to go through and do it for distilled as well. Started at 22 millimeters and ended at 40 millimeters. So I know that if I figure out the difference, it's 18 millimeter difference. And finally, the salt water one started at 20 millimeters and ended at 27 millimeters. So I know that that's a 7 millimeter difference. So then if you go down to the bottom, it has the average change in length box. So in here, that's where I'm going to take that difference number and say if it's a growing, so if it grew or if it shrunk. Now in this case, all of our gummy bears grew. So under tap water, I'm going to take that difference number, which was 13 millimeters, and I'm going to say it's 13 millimeters longer because it got longer. Distilled, I'm going to write in the 18 millimeter number, and remember that one also got longer. And finally, my saltwater one got 7 millimeters longer. So this is all the data that I collected from the experiment. This tells me everything that happened. So make sure you have very detailed notes. If you need to go back and re-watch and take some more detailed notes, feel free to pause here and come back once you have more written down for your qualitative notes. Now, taking a look at the rest of the lab report, I'm going to have you guys do this part on your own, but I'm going to walk you through the instructions in case you need some help. So on page 3, you're going to figure out what your independent variable is. So remember, that's the thing that doesn't change in the experiment. We have our dependent variable, and then our controlled variables. Now remember, our controlled variables are the same across everything. So they're the same thing. Then you're going to make a bar graph. So you're going to make a bar graph showing what happens for each type. And I will walk you through how to do the one for the tap water. So you're going to need your data table because we're going to talk about the length. And then you're going to need page 3, which has where you're going to put your graph. So looking at the tap water bear, our tap water bear started at 24 millimeters. So it started at 24 millimeters. So I know that I'm looking, I see the 10 millimeter mark, 20 millimeter mark. So I know it's going to be about halfway between the 10 and the 20. Or I mean 20 and 30, sorry guys. So here's my before line, and I wrote before in there just because I only have the one color. After my gummy bear was soaking, it turned into a 37 millimeter bear. So I can see that I'm gonna run out of space. So actually, if I were you, I would make your own table maybe at the bottom of the page. And then there's my after. Like I said, you're gonna end up at the end. So I would maybe use this blank space at the bottom to make your own bar graph. Just so that way you're not all over the place. All right, so that was page 3. And then on page 4, you're gonna analyze your data. And by analyzing your data, you're gonna be using your data information to figure out kind of what you found. So, It asks questions about why you would use a graph, why a bar graph is the best choice, what your data tells you about the 3 different kinds of water and the length of the gummy bear. And we didn't take a class average. You're just going to use your own average, just because we're not together. And then finally, a big part of being a scientist is writing a conclusion. So on page 5, it's going to walk you through the steps of writing your very own conclusion. So for example, you're going to use this to help you fill in the blanks, and that's going to be your conclusion. And that's on page 5. So use the rest of your time today to finish your lab report. If you have questions, visit us in office hours. We can help you fill out the information if you need help. I hope you guys had fun. And remember, if you did the experiment at home, your numbers are probably going to be a little bit different than what our numbers are. But you'll still fill out the rest of your lab report the same. I hope you guys had fun, and we will see you after MEA.